Hello YouTubers, welcome back to my workshop. 2 weeks ago I promised you a video about colouring wood and I didn't deliver. You got something entirely different. So this week I intend to make good on my promise. So what we're going to do is start with a piece of ash. Any devotees of my channel will know that there are two good reasons for using ash, one of which is that it does lend itself very nicely to taking colour or anything like that. Another reason being I've got a lot of ash, so that's what I'm going to use it up. The colour I'm going to use is, I started off with these and they are lever-on water-based dyes. They come in little pots, they do go a long way. There's 10 colours in there, concentrated. So you do, put it in a little tub, mix it with a bit of water, splash it on the wood. I've since moved on and they use chestnut spirit stains, and to be honest I can't see a lot of difference between the spirit stain and the water based, other than I now use an airbrush. So what I want to do was just show you this week, because it's a very good starter to get into colouring wood. Very cheap to buy, very easy to use. And there's 10 different colours in there. If I find my glasses, I'll tell you what colours they are. Sorry, there's 8 in there. And they are white, blue, brown, red, orange, green, black and yellow. And I intend to use 4 different ones today. I'm going to use the black, the yellow, the orange and the brown. So that's 4 colours I'm going to use. But the first thing we need is a bowl to colour. So there I'm just going to turn a simple bowl. I've started with a bowl blank and I've sped this up to about 5 times its normal speed, because the object of the video today is to show colouring, not me turning a bowl. So I've given it a really big rim and a big bead at the bottom. Very high sided bowl, and this is just to accentuate the colour that we put on there, so that when it's sat on the side people can see the lovely colour and the grain that's highlighted within it. I will also come back at a later date and I will wire burn from the rims on the top and the bottom, again just to accentuate the difference between the body and the rims. So there we go YouTubers, let's turn the little bowl. There's a nice bit of grain in there, just a little bit of spalting starting there as well. It's quite nice. Right, so the first thing I'm going to do is put black on there. So all I do is use these barbecue sticks. See that on there? In there, a drop of water. Mix it up. Rubber gloves are a good idea as well. Paper towel and then straight on wood. There you go. And you see from that, a little bit goes a long way. Now what I am going to do is turn that around and I'll do the inside and the outside all at the same time. Now I haven't put any sander sealer on there. and I only sandpaper it up to about 320 grade sandpaper. So I think if you go any higher than about 320, it's almost like you burnish the wood, and the dye doesn't seem to want to soak in. It seems to settle on top of the wood, and the thing with this dye, you want it to actually soak right into the wood, and that's the same reason why you don't put sand and sealer on there. So now I just very quickly follow this bowl. Did it nicely. I'll just sand that up. Put black stuff in there. Let's put it straight into there. Working with the grain, just making sure it's all rubbed right into everywhere. So the good thing about this water-based dye is it does dry extremely quickly, and if it's still not quick enough for you, you can now put it on its way with a hot air gun. You can actually see the shade of black, it changes as it dries. So what we want to do is we don't actually want to sand any of the wood away, we just want to sand all that black off. So I'm going to use let's start with a bit of 240 Abranet. We'll see what that looks like. You see it gradually changing colour as the wood starts to come through. Better. That's a lot better. Right, I'm trying to have to put dust extractor on for a bit. the great thing about colouring wood is, if you don't like it, you sand it all off and you start again. Right, I'm quite happy with that. I'm going to put this brown on. I'm not going to put it on as a total colour, I just want to put it in certain places and then blend all the other colours in. And that and there I want to leave and get that in quite light so that it stands out well, that one. I think we're putting that black on first. What you actually do is that all sits down in the grain and highlights the grain, so that will show through. Pretty much whatever colour you put on top of it, that black will always shine through. Unless of course you put another black on there. I think with this watercolour is you give it, you see the difference between there where I'll give it a couple of coats and say just there where it's just got one. It's quite a different colour. It's quite nice. And these are what I call my autumnal colours. The browns, the yellows, the oranges, they always look good together. You can't really go wrong with them. So the next one I'm going to put on is an orange. So here we have the orange. Pretty good. I'll go for yellow. And there we have the yellow. And what I want to do with that one in particular is highlight that. Pretty much that last colour to go on. Just anywhere we haven't been before. Just go straight over the top of it. You see on the cloth there, some of the oranges are starting to come off. That's a good thing, and the browns, because they're all blending in together. So what you want to try and avoid is getting hard lines from one to the other. The thing is, if you do this and you get some you think, oh, a little bit brown there, that's a bit dark. If you just dried off, just sand it down. You can put the other colour back on and just let it blend in. Well, this colouring pretty much finished now. I'm just feeling around the wood, because all of that, putting that water-based dye on there, that has raised a grain on the wood, and it is quite rough. So what we need to do now is just go in and sand it down again. Obviously I don't want to take any of that dye off any of the surface wood, so I'll start with quite a fine grit sandpaper. So I'm going with something like a 240, then a 320, finishing up with a 400. If you look on you can see that I keep turning the sandpaper, because you can see it from the corner where the colour with the dye's coming off. I don't want to keep putting that back on the wood, so I keep using a fresh piece of sandpaper so that dust and that dye doesn't get transferred back onto the wood. So it's just a matter of just gently sanding it down until we get a nice smooth finish. This does create a lot of dust on the wood, and it does settle in the grain. So what I'm going to do now is just get some clean tissue paper and just wipe it down. You can't really use anything on this, because if you used any sort of alcohol or oil or anything like that to clean the dust from the wood, it would affect the dye that you put onto the bowl. So it's just a matter of just using it. You can see on the cloth the amount of dust that's coming off on there. So it's just a matter of just keep cleaning it, just keep getting a fresh piece of cloth until you just cleaned it all down. So now I'm just going in with the wire just to put a burn line in there. That gives me a nice thick black line, and this just frames the wood. It's just a nice touch. You see through the smoke. It is just quite a nice effect to put on a bowl. Now I'm just going to finish the bowl off. I'm coming in and just putting sand and sealer over the top of the dye. So you're just gradually working that in. You do have to be quite careful with this, because that will take, you could just quickly see there on the cloth, it will take a lot of the colour off if you're not careful. But the other good thing about it is it does tend to blend it all in as well. So if you do have any hard lines, it just blends all the colours in. But as I say, there is quite a fine line between blending the colours and taking them off, so you have to be quite careful. So just put the sand and sealer on, and then we just go for the wax. Just polish it up, finish the bowl off nicely. Lastly, I'm just going to go in and put my Jacob's chuck and the sanding pad in the chuck of my lathe, and I'm just going to go through and sand off the bottom of the bowl. I will put sand, sealer and wax on here, and put the buffing wheel in there and just polish it all up and finish it nicely. And that's the last thing to do. There we go. Brown, orange, yellow and black. And the view from the side. The different shades of colours. Here you go, wood tubers. I only said that because I know Layla likes it. So there it is. Quite a nice little piece. Some nice contrasting. Do like that little bullseye in there. It's quite nice if you surround that with dark colour and then highlight it. And you can see all the grain coming through there as well. Certainly there. So I haven't finished the bottom off, just I think I will at a later point. Just go back in and fill those wormholes with a little bit of sawdust, a bit of super glue, sand it down, restain it. I just wanted to show you this. This was one I made earlier. And it almost looks like a piece of ceramic. If you look very carefully, you can see the grain coming through. That was inspired. We were out shopping one day and my wife was looking at a tea service and she said it's a shame you can't make something like that. I couldn't make the tea service, but I could replicate the colours. And that was all done with that. That's a dark blue, light blue and a white. And a bit of ash again. So I just wanted to show you, you don't have to have expensive equipment. You haven't got to rush out and buy airbrushes and spirit stain. And you buy one of those starter kits. I can't remember how much I paid for them. I'm sure they're on plenty of internet services you can buy. But it goes an awful long way. I've had that set for quite a few years now. And I hope I've shown you that you can get some quite nice results from it as well. I think it's because so many people frown on putting colour on wood. It's almost like you're doing something naughty. But I enjoy it. It does make a change. It's something nice. So, that's the end of another project. End of another day. As always, I've been Steve Howe, and I have had a great day in the workshop. When you can produce something like that, that's got to be good, isn't it? Thank you very much for watching. Goodbye.